So you're trading football on Betfair, you see a goal fly in, markets go suspended, and the prices start to reset and adjust to the goal going in almost instantly. But just how does this work? Who determines the prices? Is it really the punters and traders? Today, you're going to find out. This will be an extremely revealing insight into how the in-play football prices actually work. So go grab a nice cold beer or a scotch on the rocks and let's get into it. So I want to keep this explanation as simple as possible and as brief as possible without going too deeply into it. But the theory is that the betting exchange is just a pure exchange with supply and demand dictating the prices. So if I want to offer up a bet at a certain price and someone else wants to take it, then those bets will be matched and we are on our way and the betting exchange takes its commission. And that was the way it was sold to us 20 years ago, that we're just betting against other punters, and that was the way for a long time. However, the reality is that today the robots control the prices.
What?
And it's actually been this way for a long time. I think since around 2007. It was around the time when Betfair did release access to their API that the robots started to get involved as people built their own robots and just got a whole lot more sophisticated. And just one piece of evidence to show you that the robots are in control. If you ever watch the markets on a big level, say Premier League match, when a goal goes in, the markets go suspended. And when they unsuspend, you will see that they zero in on the new prices almost instantaneously, give or take a few ticks here and there. If that was humans, if it really was humans in the markets, then you would see those prices bouncing around all over the place, 20 ticks here, 10 ticks there. But the robots, they know what they're doing, okay? They don't have the same emotions as us, and they know exactly what prices to go for straight away. Compare that with a lower level match of low liquidity, and watch how the market prices move after a suspension. That's when you probably see a lot more humans involved in the market. But like I said, it's been this way for a long time. So for most watching this video, it's always been this way. So you don't need to be scared of the robots. And robots are not necessarily a bad thing either, as I'm going to be explaining later on in this video. Perhaps the question we should be asking is, who owns the robots, and should we be creating robots for ourselves? And so the way it works is that the in-play prices will follow a model, and the model that they follow is going to be dictated by the starting prices of that match. Okay, so once those starting prices are determined at kickoff, once the match actually kicks off, then the model is set and the prices pretty much will be on rails from that point on. That's the kind of term I use to describe it when I try and describe it to other people. It's almost like they are on rails. It's like a train has left the station and it knows its destination and it knows the times that it's going to be at every station from there on in. And the prices will follow that rail all the way to the final whistle. And this means that the in-play prices are actually already determined from the starting prices, and they can be fairly easy to predict from that point on, which is how the football trading simulator works. Okay, and that's probably a bit of a insane realization for a lot of people who do believe that the exchange is just almost like a pure exchange, like we spoke about earlier on with supply and demand and all that sort of thing. However, do keep in mind the prices can go off the rails due to short-term fluctuations. Okay, and that is why when you look at a Betfair chart, it's never a straight line here or there. You're going to see the prices bouncing around here and there. Okay, so short-term fluctuation can be caused by something such as a period of dominance by one team. If a team is really dominating, especially in that first 20 minutes, probably see them steam, and that causes the prices to go off the rails. If they don't score, those prices end up back where they should be, back on the rails at some point, probably by half time. But just similarly, if you watch the markets closely, when a team gets a dangerous free kick or a corner, you will see that the fluctuations will happen as loads of money flies in for that team. If they don't score, well, loads of money starts to leave the market, maybe going on the other team who are on the counter attack, and you just see these fluctuations here and there. Okay, but these are just short-term fluctuations, because eventually the prices will go back on to the rails and end up where they should be. Okay, now prices can fall totally off the rails, but it usually has to be due to much bigger factors. Okay, so the short-term fluctuations of a corner, a free kick, or a period of dominance, that's to be expected in a football match. So those factors there won't cause the markets to completely flip-flop and the prices to fall off the rails. But the prices can totally change in certain situations and certain scenarios. Okay, now usually it's down to poor liquidity, and one aspect of poor liquidity means there's probably less robots involved in the market. Okay, but poor liquidity can be an aspect. I mean, if you've ever tried to trade a under 23 match or something similar, then the prices can be a lot more unpredictable, and that is due to just there being less robots in the market. Okay, but also unexpected match performance, especially in cup matches. Now, if you have a cup match where one team has rested a whole bunch of their players, like we see Liverpool have done down the years. Remember Liverpool Wolves last year, they rested their whole team. Liverpool were favourites at kickoff. 20 minutes in, the market flip-flopped and Wolves were the favourites and then went on to win comfortably. And that is what you would determine as being an unexpected match performance, because Wolves were by far the better team, and that can cause the prices to completely fall off the rails. Okay, but that's a pretty rare event. Okay, also injury to key players, that can completely flip the markets. I've seen that happen. I mean, if Barcelona were to lose Messi to an injury during the match, the prices would adjust severely. I remember the Champions League final 2018, Salah got injured by Ramos, and if you watch that market closely, I remember the markets completely flipped in favor of Real Madrid. I can't remember the specific prices, but it was almost like the markets knew what was to come, because I think that happened when the match was still 0-0. So things like that, an injury to a key player. But again, it's a rare event, and red cards as well. Again, similar rare event, but red cards do not seem to have, well, the markets don't seem to have good models for red cards, at least not at the moment. Okay, but anyway, I thought best to kind of illustrate this and actually show you how this all works. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the football trading simulator alongside a live Premier League match to show us where the prices should be at certain points and what also affects the market in the short term. And you can also get a good idea of how accurate the football trading simulator software can be. So we're going to dive into some real life examples of this. But before we do that, I would really love it if you could hit the like button to support the channel. If you like this sort of content, you want to see more of it, it only takes a quick press of the like button to show your support and help the channel to keep going. Press the like button, then grab another cold beer and let's get into it. So I'm going to give you an idea of how this works. So we're in the football trading simulator here, and the football trading simulator will simulate pretty much a perfect market, as in the liquidity is great, there's nothing going wrong there, and the match is kind of going according to how the markets expect it to go. It's not going to take any of those short-term fluctuations into account. So what we do is we plug in those starting prices. This is just about to kick off. Crystal Palace against West Brom. Crystal Palace there at 2.5. And then we put in West Brom's price. We don't even have to put in the draw price. Okay, it should just automatically calculate it. And then under 2.5 goals is pretty low at 1.58. And then from the under 2.5 goals price, we can get all the other goal prices as well, as you can see on the left. So that's our market right there. Okay, and that is the model that the in-play prices are going to follow, and they're going to follow it on rails. Okay, so 20 minutes in, this is where the prices kind of should be. If it's still 0-0, draws into 2.88. Similarly with the 1.5 goals and 2.5 goals there at 1.36 and all that sort of thing. So that's kind of where you would expect the prices to be. And then we can move that forward to say half time. And you can see that the draw probably should be into 2.34. Under 2.5 goals should be into 1.13. Under 1.5, 1.55. And the 0-0 pretty low there at 3.35. Okay. And this could all be predicted before the match. Okay. One big misunderstanding is that a lot of people feel like, well, if the action is really slow or really fast, then that's what dictates the second half prices. Okay. Now it can to an extent. However, generally you're going to find the prices will remain on the rails, okay, generally. Now, of course, like we mentioned, the short-term fluctuations could put these prices out by a few ticks for short periods of the match, depending on what is happening. But largely, it's going to revert back to the model, okay? So let's let this match go in play, and I'll follow along with it and show you exactly what I mean. So we just had a goal to Crystal Palace, and as you can see, the prices are settling in, and I think the goal was pretty much the 37th minute. Okay, so what we're going to do, we type it in here, goal 37 minutes, and then let's move the clock forward to 38 minutes when all the odds should have settled, and Crystal Palace should be around 1.51. Okay, so let's see. Looks like the odds are starting to move towards it. There you go, moving up to 1.51, and it's going to settle there, and West Brom should be around 9.2 and the draw at 4.3. Remember, the price on the favourite is usually going to be the one to really look for, but yeah, the draw has moved out as to where we would expect, and that Crystal Palace price is going to bounce around at 1.51, and yeah, there you go. Okay, so Crystal Palace 1, West Brom 0. Just wanted to show you how we can see where the prices go after the goal, and there you have it. And you kind of saw as well. I mean, when the markets first reformed, they dipped a little bit below that price of 1.51. But this is the fluctuation that just happens in the meantime, as you get people taking bets, just wanting to get out of the market. Don't really care what price they're taking, and they can kind of take the wrong prices. Okay, but yeah, just a quick example, and then obviously from here we can move it forward and just get an idea of where that price would be at, say, half time, and Crystal Palace should be into probably 1.47 by the time this market settles at half time. Okay, and you can get a good idea of how to operate from there. Okay, so just wanted to point that out. Let's move on and check out something else. Oh, and sorry, I was also meant to show you the goal markets as well. So under 1.5 goals, 4.1, over into 4.3, and you can see that's pretty bang on there for this match, 4.1 or 1.33. Under 2.5 goals should be 1.71 and 2.4, and let's check this out here. Yep, that's pretty much it. 1.69 and 2.44, and well, actually, I mean, it is in the 39th minute now, so let's move it forward, and then I'll probably start to adjust. Yeah, 1.69, 2.44. So you can see it is pretty much in line with the market. Okay, sometimes it can go off the rails when it is still 0-0, but then usually it will eventually revert to where it should be, okay, according to the model. So anyway, I wanted to point that out. Crystal Palace 1, West Brom 0, 39 minutes now on the clock. So we're 53 minutes on the clock. Crystal Palace's price here is 1.51. They haven't really moved in the second half. You might be thinking, well, what's going on there? Because simulators saying they should be in to 1.42, and West Brom should be drifting, and so should the draw. But this is what can happen in in-play matches. This is a period of sustained West Brom pressure, and it's just causing Crystal Palace's price to remain static. Very, very common in football trading, and just shows what can happen with the short-term fluctuations. And things like this are an opportunity, okay, especially when Crystal Palace are under this sort of pressure. You know, the price isn't moving against you in the meantime, and then you can get involved with laying them. Okay, but we know that once this pressure, if it doesn't produce a goal for West Brom, then you're going to see Crystal Palace's price revert back to revert to the mean, revert to where it should be, pretty sharpish. Okay, and that can also kind of create an opportunity, because you know that once Crystal Palace maybe get hold of the ball, their price should then start to steam in, and you could probably gain a good 10 ticks pretty quickly, okay? But this just shows what can happen in the meantime, especially when the action on the pitch is, well, as it is now with West Brom putting a fair bit of pressure on Crystal Palace. So 67 minutes on the clock, and that West Brom pressure didn't pay off, and you can see that the odds are back on the rails again, okay? Crystal Palace into 1.34 according to the simulator. That's where we think they should be at 67 minutes on the clock. 1.34, West Brom 22, the draw at 4.8. And so you can see it is starting to revert back to where the model should be, okay, when that West Brom pressure didn't pay off. Okay, so yeah, just more of an example of how the rails work. Okay, they are on the rails. You get that sustained pressure like you can see here, which really caused that price to go static for a while, but the West Brom goal never materialized, and now that steam has developed to really put the prices where they should be for this time of the match, and now we're back on track. Okay, I'll update you if anything more of note happens in this one. So we're into 85 minutes and prices staying largely on the rails. Crystal Palace 1.15 on here, they're into like 1.12 on the markets. Mainly because they look like they've really got this under control. Okay, this is when people really start to jump in and start to kind of buy money. However, what you can kind of see as well in these situations, when you do get a team kind of 1-0 up late on, and if they just suddenly decide to defend and just and park the bus for the final 5 minutes, then you can definitely see some interesting fluctuations on these prices here, which definitely you probably wouldn't see in the simulator model, because that's when it really starts to get desperate for some punters anyway. Under 1.5 goals should, well, it's not great liquidity. 1.24 to back, 1.27 to lay, and on here currently should be around 1.28, but we've actually just lost a whole minute when I was recording this. Just looking at the screen, the Betfair clock is a little bit behind, but yeah, you can see 1.25 should be the price on under 1.5 goals for this, and that's pretty much in line with where it is. And as you saw, that just dropped into 1.21. And again, look, and then it's gone back to 1.24. These are the fluctuations you will really start to see late on in these in-play matches as the rails start to come off, the robots start to get overpowered by the emotional punters. Okay, lots of people maybe trying to jump in for late goals and all that sort of thing, especially in a one-goal football match, because obviously one goal to West Brom completely changes all of this. Okay, all these people backing the low prices, and even as I'm saying this, you can see the fluctuations in front of your very eyes now as it starts to get pretty nervous for a lot of people. Okay, so yeah, I mean, this could be an interesting video for those who haven't really studied the actual in-play markets. It's definitely worth doing. Sounds like there's a goal somewhere else in another match I'm trading, but anyway, yeah, so this is just something to be aware of. Really it is worth studying the markets, and you can start to see what can happen late on in these matches, and this is going to start to get nervous now with it being a one-goal gap, and you're going to see a lot of fluctuations. If there's a dangerous free kick or a corner, you can start to see this actually drift on the under 1.5 goals market. And similarly for Palace, they'll probably stick around being 1.1 for a short while if West Brom can put on some sort of pressure. So yeah, you got a pretty decent lesson there on how the in-play rails and robots work the markets, and the things that can affect them in the short term. And so one kind of trick, just to make sure the match actually gets on the correct rail when it is kind of low liquidity, this one below 100k matched, just wait until it actually kicks off, then take the kind of starting prices in like the second minute. So Marseille 2.02, and then Brest there at 4.3. Let's try and put those in, and then you're probably much more likely to really latch on to the correct starting prices, and you could just move it forward to say the second minute and put in the prices which are there at that moment. So 1.87 on under 2.5 goals, and then it should latch onto the rail and then be accurate heading forwards. Okay, so anyway, we're in this one. A low liquidity example. Would be interesting to see how this one develops. So we had a goal in this Marseille match on the stroke of halftime, which is really convenient as it makes recording this video a little bit easier. So Marseille's price has gone into 1.37. So we established that this is a low liquidity match, and these are the sorts of matches where when they are low liquidity, the prices are much more likely to go off the rails. And, you know, is the simulator still going to be able to match up to these even lower liquidity matches? Okay, 200k matched by half time is not the most liquidity. So Marseille were into 1.37, Brest out to 15, and then the draw went out to 4.8, but there's a bit of a gap, so it's pretty much 4.9. So let's head over and input that goal, that Marseille goal, which was on the 45th minute. And you can see that Marseille's price has gone into 1.35 according to the simulator. And as we know, they're currently at 1.37. That's pretty accurate there. Brest, 15.5. It's pretty accurate there. They're at 15s. And then the draw, it should be 4.9 because of the liquidity, and 5.1. So 2 ticks out on the draw. So it is fairly accurate even in the low liquidity matches. Let's check out the goal market. Let's just have a look at the under 2.5 goals market. This one's probably going to deviate a little bit. So so the market says 1.67, but that's really 1.68, and the simulator says it should be around 1.72. So out by a few ticks, but still within our expected plus or minus 10% margin of error. Let's have a look at the over 1.5 goals prices. Should be 1.3 on the simulator. The market's 1.31, so one tick out on that one. So just wanted to show you how it can still work pretty good on the lower liquidity matches. These matches will go off the rails a lot easier, but it's still fairly accurate. Okay, you've got to just have a little bit of patience in the lower liquidity matches. So I hope you found that useful, checking out the in-play football markets. You'll definitely be surprised how many people are totally unaware of what I've just showed you. And remember, if you were interested in the software we were using, that is the Football Trading Simulator. There's so many other different uses for it. I'm going to leave a lot of information about that in the description of this video. But if you did want to get this software for yourself, then early access is going to be opening very, very soon for this, depending when you're watching this video. But either way, submit your email address by clicking the link in the description, and we will send you an invite as soon as it is available, so you can get it for yourself. This software is available via invites only. This is the only way to get it, is to be submitting your email address in the description below. Okay, if you are watching this video maybe a little bit late and you've missed the early access, then you'll have to go on the waiting list. Okay, and again, the same link will be below this video. Just submit your email address. If you're on the waiting list, you will be one of the first to know once it is available. Again, it is a great bit of kit, and it is perfect for anyone who is interested in football trading at any sort of level. Okay, beginners and even the more intermediates and advanced traders. Okay, there's lots of great features within the Football Trading Simulator. So anyway, click the link below the video, get your very best email address down, and then we can talk more after that. But anyway, I also want to know what you thought of the video. I know a lot of people who are familiar with football trading will have watched this video and be like, well, I already knew this. This is pretty obvious. But there will be a lot of people who are totally unaware of this actual aspect and how those football trading prices work. So I'd love to know what you thought of this, if this video has helped you in any sort of way. And also, if there's anything I've missed that you think I should put in a future video, it's always good to let me know in the comments. Okay, I try and read all of them. And if you like this channel, do not forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you'll get all the new videos as soon as they come out. And also, if you want to keep watching, then there are 2 other videos that are really, really good that we don't think you've seen yet, and they are on the screen right now. So click one of those, and I'll see you in the next video.